Kevin.
How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Long time no hear from. It's great to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to be heard from. So how's your quarantine experience going?
I'd be a liar if I told you that I didn't have it better than most. We're in a good position as a business, and I wouldn't otherwise have this kind of time with my family ever, ever, ever. So I don't want to say I'm thankful for it, but I'm certainly making the best of it.
Okay, so you're thankful for it. You created the coronavirus. It sounds like.
Guilty. It started here.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Not in a lab in Wuhan.
No. It started in Pittsburgh, New York.
All right. So when you were working for Sprint on T-Mobile, working on the 5G, you guys said this has got to include the coronavirus.
Yeah, I was actually responsible for outing the first 5G whistleblower.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that's me.
Nice. Was the original 5G, was that NWA? Because there are 5Gs.
No, that was NWO. It was the New World Order. It included Hollywood Hulk Hogan, actually.
Hollywood Hogan. Did you watch that video? I messaged the group.
Well, of course.
Oh, man. So beautiful. So beautiful. America.
Yeah. Poetic.
Yeah. So, one, I wanted to have you on the show because I just got my studio set up and I'm just playing with all this stuff and I want to make sure it works. And we were texting earlier and I know that you now find yourself with odd hours. So I was like, hey, I wonder if Kevin wants to talk. Two, you're a small business owner in the meat industry. I'm in one of the heaviest hit state places in the world. So I wanted to get your takes on what that's like, what morale is like. I think a lot of people's not ignorance, but lack of what I feel is concern with social distancing is that they don't see the direct impact that I feel like maybe you have seen in your day to day. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, day to day, we're closed.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of other butcher shops, other grocery shops who have made the decision to stay open. And the service that they're providing for their communities is applaudable. Like, God bless them. Good for you. And I'm really happy that you are out there taking care of your customers and your communities. We were in a position where a couple of different things were going on. Number one, we were losing a pretty key staff member pretty quickly anyways, and it was going to cause us a lot of, sort of scheduling stress on top of what we saw mounting within our customers and within our staff's faces, which was a little bit of fear and desperation. And my wife and I felt uncomfortable with that. And so we decided to do what we thought was right at the time for the people that make us who we are, which is our customers and our staff, and close. So day to day, yeah, things are definitely different. I'm home. My customers are shopping somewhere else. My staff are thankfully safe. None of them have been affected by this from a health perspective, and we're just trying to figure out what to do to move forward.
Yeah. That's big. When you first started hearing about this coronavirus, did you think that it was going to have this impact? I know that's like an unfair question because I imagine no one did. But at what point did you was, I guess, there a watershed moment where you and your wife were like, all right, it's the time to close?
It's actually an interesting point between my wife and I, because I will readily admit that she's the smart one and I'm just following her lead. And this was just another example of that, because my wife is from South Korea. She grew up in and around Seoul, and we met here in the United States and married, and so on and so forth. Here we are with a business and kids, and but her connection still back to South Korea meant that she had some advanced access to what people were doing in a country that was already being affected, and so she took some actions and uh, enacted some plans and ordering that put us in a good position as a family, but certainly as a business. So, you know, we had masks and gloves and a UV sanitizing unit to take care of people's, wallets and cell phones and keys and, you know,
Yeah.
and N95 masks that we could use for a second day and things of that nature. So, like, I'm not saying that we could understand it, but we were better prepared. Um, and I kind of fought her on it a little bit throughout that process. I was like, "You're crazy. We're not
Mhm.
going to need this shit. We're just not going to need this shit. It's a lot of hype." But certainly within the last 10 days that we were open, um, I was a believer. I understood where she was coming from, and I certainly was able to restructure my own priorities.
Yeah. Now, how do you put the UV sanitizer in your butt?
It's a lot of lube,
Okay.
as my practice has taught me.
Yeah. Um, Now, what was because I just don't want this to be centered around this horrible shared experience that we're all going through.
Sure.
Um, but what? Tell me about your journey because this is your first time on the show. Before this, like, how did you get into the industry? I know, I believe, in conversations we've had that you have a thespian background. So, yeah, tell me about Kevin.
That's an interesting segue, and I'm into it.
Mhm.
It's weird and in all the right ways that a lot of our conversations have been.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no, I did. I went to school for theater, and I enjoyed creating and did some other studio style art. I don't think I was really necessarily good at any of it. Um, at nature, I think a little bit of a bullshit artist, and that plays well for me. But theater was fun. It was a way to focus energies and things of an emotional and intellectual nature that were fun. Um, but I was always cooking, even back then, as I look back at it. Um, so when I ended up in New York City and trying to go after the whole theater thing and serving tables in Times Square and doing that whole stereotypical starving artist thing. Um, you know, it kind of always ended up in restaurants. And so restaurants was where I was and started cooking. And I liked cooking, but I hated corporate, blah, blah, blah. Was
Mhm.
out of the industry, went through a divorce, and ended up at the CIA, really for all the wrong reasons.
Okay.
But I just was looking for a place to hide more or less. But, I guess my sense of pride and work wouldn't allow me to not make the most of it. So I came out of it with a lot of great skills. It's certainly where I found butchery.
Hmm.
It struck me right off the bat going into that meat room. Um, I've talked about that several times, but it was a visceral experience. It was physical. It like grabbed me. Cut myself on the first day, so it was very physical.
Yeah.
I was bleeding and embarrassed in a corner trying to figure out how to get back to a block and cut more. Um, but that stuck with me, and so I just kept kind of pushing, kept finding ways to kind of bully my way onto a block and keep cutting and finding new people to apprentice under, and despite all the bad decisions I made and mistakes that I was perpetrating, I still found a way to learn along the way.
And then when you say CIA, you don't mean the Central Intelligence Agency. You mean
Uh,
or do you?
the hilarious nature of it is, yes, that the CIA has its own FBI. Also, the Culinary Institute of America has its own Food and Beverage Institute. That was something I found uproariously hilarious while I was there.
I
But
like it.
yeah,
I wonder what their NSA, what that actually is.
nah, that well, yeah, that's interesting, right?
Yeah, and then we should come up one with ice too. Yeah, I'm sure and all the other lovely things.
Get all the letters in there, all the agencies.
Yeah, uh, NS6. Is that James Bond? I don't know.
No, what was that? That wasn't NS6. It was, I'm embarrassed to say that I can't remember it off the top of my head, but
Yeah. So when you were in the CIA, what did you meet Q?
if only
Yeah,
that would have made for a lot more cheap and yeah, uh, future career enhancing opportunities.
yeah. But what did so what as you're learning, at what point did because there's that pathway in a career where you're like, all right, I could do this and work for someone else, or I could take the huge gamble and go out on my own. Was that pretty quick that you're like, man, I just want to own my own shop, or were you? Uh, what point did you just commit to the hot tub? I guess.
So I went to kind of just to reiterate, I went to culinary school career changing. I was 30.
Hmm.
Uh, so um, you would think that that meant that I had a little bit less drive and ambition, but that's not the truth. Like, I went to CIA to figure out how to open up a catering business. So, I mean, I guess the premise of it all was to eventually work for myself. But what I came to understand over, and it was a very, very, very humbling experience, was um, I have opinions, and sometimes I have a hard time not saying them. And so I got fired from like every job I've had from the year 2000, maybe 99, if I wanted to really go back to it, um, until I opened up my own shop. um, yeah, no. So it was, I think, an inevitability. But I guess I've studied workflow and productivity and ways to work with people and to develop people, and I've kind of treated that the way that I would analyze a script when I was in theater, right? Like,
Hmm.
really kind of try to figure out some ins and outs of it all to figure out how to intellectually make sense of something that is nonsensical. So,
When you were growing up, did you do theater in high school?
uh, yes, but only because I was bribed.
Okay.
My mother was a teacher in the school district that we grew up in, that I grew up in, I should say. And one of her colleagues' daughters was a senior and wanted to be in a show, and it was a an extra role, and she needed a dance partner.
Okay.
And I bribed my mother. I said, "If you give me $100, I'll do it." And she bit. And so I got $100, and I was in a play. And the director came back to me the next time and said, um, it looked like you had fun. We should probably do this again. And I was like, all right, well, we'll see. And I did like every production we did from then on out. So,
Nice. That's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, no, I did theater in high school. Never was in a play. Um, I was just one of those theater kids that smoke cloves and listen to The Cure, and was friends with like the random goths and ravers and punks. But yeah, because theater was you could take it as a elective, and when uh, somehow like at the time California let it pass as like you could just take that and not take foreign language, which was
Huh.
awesome. Yeah,
That would have been great because I was awful at French.
yeah. Uh, I don't know. I know like
But I was really good at escaping into the music area where all like the music and theater nerds would hang out.
mhm,
I was really good at going down there at lunchtime and just throwing on the same VHS tape of Amadeus every day.
nice. Well, now did you have that one parent that did the rap party that would let the kids like drink a little bit, or no?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay, because I could tell you, Alex Boshin, I had great times at your house. Many many firsts on your trampoline. So
And there it is.
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. But so you're going to culinary school, newly single, I imagine, in your timeline. Big steps. And then what was the you wanted to be in charge of your own business, and catering was something that you wanted to do. And I've cut alongside you. And at what point did your wife come into the scene? Because a lot of your cutting styles and recommendations has a her, what I would assume is her cultural background. I don't know how to say that without sounding like a dick.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying because it's funny because I find myself in certain settings recommending things and going, "You're that white guy married to a Korean, and you're doing that thing, right?" But the truth of it is, I got to school before she did. We have a bond that we didn't kind of realize right away. We were both career changers. We were both coming off divorces. We both went to the CIA as a means of trying to recreate and redo something. But we didn't really discover that till much later. I was through the program and I was working as a teaching assistant in the meat room where they teach meat fabrication. And her class came through today. Ironically, as we are talking about it, is the 10-year anniversary of a picture that I posted on Facebook of her class on their last day of class, hilariously. I would ask every class on their last day to gather and pose for a picture, and I would say, "Give me your gangster face," right? And I was always known as that asshole playing Wu-Tang when you came into the meat room and it was too loud and you couldn't hear shit. And that was how I tried to like set an interesting style of culture of just have some fun while you're working type of thing. But, so I was like, give me your gangster face. And she's giving this look in this picture that is just like, you're in trouble. And I continue to see that face 10 years later on more regular of a basis than I probably would like, but that's my own fault. But so that's how I met her. We were not romantically involved until much later. She was on her externship. I was working for DeBraga and Spittler down in New York City, which is the preeminent supplier of proteins to all of the best restaurants that you'll go to. One of the things they specialized in was dry aging. They didn't do a lot in-house, but the stuff that they did do in-house as far as breaking down primals and aged meat that they would do in house as well. It was a really interesting learning experience. And that was very formative in my career. But that's also when I started dating my wife, and we lived in New Jersey in two separate spots, and that's when I started to learn the Korean culture and the understanding of the way that Koreans eat, flavor profiles. We traveled to South Korea and we learned a lot about, or excuse me, I learned a lot about obviously it's what she is and what she knows. But we spent a lot of time traveling to Korean meat markets and things of that nature. And it was amazing. It was just mind blowing to watch these guys work. The efficiency, the just carefree nature of which they were executing unbelievably intricate moves. The hierarchy of the sort of old veteran that had clearly been there in that one spot doing that exact same thing for ever. And then the younger guys who were behind him who were, trying to achieve that. They worked by the piece, not by the hour. And so they were just like motivated to just bang shit the fuck out because maybe they had a side hustle doing, other cut work for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. And so, yeah, so I soaked that shit up. I mean, it's trendy. It's cool. It's ways that people want to eat. And so that's awesome. But I mean, it's also fascinating. And, it's been successful for us in our business too. So,
Well, that's great. Now, I don't think we did. We touched this. Where are you? I said you're in the hardest hit place, and that's alluding to New York. But what part of the state, and what is your business name?
yeah, I'm like 7.5 hours northwest in Rochester, New York. I own and operate McCann's Local Meats in Rochester, New York, South Wedge. Represent.
and, and is there plans for? I don't know what your governor. I barely know what my governor is doing about where you want to reopen, or do you have any inklings like that so local people could look forward, or is it just still up in the air, or are there other headaches or whatever that you want to talk about?
They're right now the state will be on what they're referring to as a pause until the 15th. We had, even a month ago, my wife and I had kind of romanticized about the idea of being able to reopen on June 1st, which would be our 5th anniversary of being open. So there was a poetic nature of being able to sort of experience rebirth, right?
Yeah.
And we're still hoping for that. We're still kind of pushing towards that. Obviously, there's a lot of obstacles in our way with regards to, state, federal, and local municipality policy with regards to that. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, we're pretty committed to making sure that when we open, we're going to do it in a way that is safe for our staff, is safe for our customers. It's safe for everybody's families that's involved, but we'll still be dedicated and more committed than ever to, our local commitment to farmers. So,
Yeah, that's good. And what then I just wanted to jump back that what advice would you give to someone who is going through culinary school right now? That did you did meet you met your wife there, you did all these things, but you also said that you at one point it wasn't what you wanted to do, but would you recommend it? Would you Do you feel it paid off in the end to achieve what you have done so far?
You know, the school that I went to, I'm very proud to be an alumni of. I think it's got a good history. It's got a questionable reputation. But I think that the reputation that it has, it's earned because of some ego of graduates.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think you can't go to a culinary school, whether it's the CIA or Johnson and Wales or FCI or Cordon Bleu. You can't go to any of these places to try to make you somebody. You got to be somebody before you go there, and you
Mm-hmm.
got to try to learn skills while you're there. And um, I went into it and pretty quickly had the mentality of like, this is a school that it's going to be a $70,000 investment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's very easy to say you're going to go to a school and make a $70,000 investment and only get $30,000 worth of education value out of it. And I was trying to go there and I was trying to take $180,000 worth of value out of it. I was just trying to fucking scrape and scratch and dig for whatever was there. Now, I had a good goddamn time while I was there too.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of times I, threw parties at my house and blacked out and made very questionable decisions, I can't count. But, the work was there.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. And to come out of it and know that you're going to still go back and work is also important. So, if there's advice, that's what it is. It's know you're going to work for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
Now talking about that, there's this major shift happening with with the quarantine of me and everyone I know where there's in incest of not incest. That's gross.
That's hot.
Yeah. Well, don't look at my search results. Am I right? Am I right, guys?
This guy gets it.
Yeah, this guy. That's why I don't have a shared Pornhub account anymore. Because the modified search history, I was like, I don't know who's doing this. But um no, but the increase of like drinking, I certainly like I still go to work every day, but I drink like I'm off. Except for I decided last night I was gonna stop. Start exercising. So how do you find to keep yourself motivated to be in shape? Because I know you do CrossFit and also you're stuck at home or not stuck at home. You have the privilege of being at home with your family and your kids. So how do you, what gets you that motivation to sneak away for that hour?
I don't, number one, you're right. I view it as a privilege. But number two, there's a lot of, and I think if you talk to like any parent out there, there's a lot of really like what we would all consider to be bad parenting going on. Like, just shut up. We're going downstairs for a minute. Right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my daughter will walk in and she'll want to, help me change a plate on a barbell, or she'll want to jump on the Bosu ball. And my son will come down and we've got a little PVC pipe that I modded out to be a curl bar for him, right? And we'll rep it out together and just bro.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the physical activity has been a way to keep my hands busy, a way to keep my mind busy, a way to expend energy in a way that I enjoyed while I was working. And I'm finding absolutely invaluable to my, mental and emotional health through this. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's important to keep moving and, idle hands favor the genitals. So it's good to move past that.
That would be the much more difficult task, right? Like hiding some masturbation.
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
working out. I'm all right with. I'm going to go down and bench press, kid. Shut up.
It reminds me of that Adam Sandler skit off his like first CD, where it's like, is this someone people having sex or people working out? And
Uh,
it's very graphic.
yep.
Yep. Um, all right. I know it's getting late there. Where can people find you and support what you're doing and yeah, online or physical? Don't give me your like personal address, but yeah.
Yeah. My specific coordinates are no, we're McCann's Local Meats, McCann'sLocalMeats.com on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're out here trying to do the right things for the right reasons for the right people at the right time, and really, really proud to be a part of the Butchers Guild. Really proud to be a part of Team USA, a member with Travis and all of our other great teammates, and except that one guy,
Oh, Tucker.
Tucker.
Oof, man, that
That,
guy.
that guy.
That
That
guy
guy.
is funny. I
mean, we could spend a whole episode on that guy.
I was so close to doing a troll meme of Tucker, of like Tucker, if you're listening to this, thanks. But where it's like, this is back when the competition was on, and because he's doing the if you're listening, I'm Kevin knows, I'm not telling him, but Tucker is a competing in the junior competition, and I was gonna post this thing where it's like, it's so important to support our youth and the future of our industry, just like this, these fine young people, and like, but Tucker looks like a 45-year-old man. So I was gonna somehow word it so it sounds like that is for children, but
he's the WBC version of Grease,
yeah,
where you were led to believe that the cast of that original movie were all supposed to be high school kids, and they were all in their 30s and 40s,
yeah,
and that's our Tucker.
yeah, and that's how I just think it's funny. But
God bless that kid.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. And I'll probably put this out tomorrow or the next day.
Great.